Welcome back, everybody. Cliff here, Chandra here. This is Not Gospel. We've got Jay in the studio today. It's going to be a fun day. And if you don't like it, we promise we'll have fun or your money back. This is Not Gospel. So Jay, you told me recently, it's one of the reasons why you're here, you are thinking about starting a podcast.
Yes.
And you've come to the right place because of our millions of listeners.
The gurus.
We're clearly professionals
we
and
got
gurus.
3 extra subscribers this weekend. Did you notice?
On the YouTube?
Yeah.
3 extra subscribers.
I know.
Go us. We are grateful for your subscription. Chandra's a huge part of why we're on TikTok. Anytime we say something funny,
I put serious stuff on there too.
And serious stuff, she's in charge of it. She's doing an awesome job. That being said, Jay, you need a Chandra.
I need a Chandra.
I might be the only Chandra around here.
Well, how do we accomplish
good
this?
luck.
We split you in 2 or clones? Or what do we do?
So what are you going to talk about? Is it
You
like,
told me you adventure podcast,
right?
Adventure?
Adventure travel.
Do you go places?
I like to go places. I want to go
He
places.
thought about the things in life he enjoys and was like, well, I'd like to talk about it.
Yes. I want to talk to people who have done those things and are currently doing those things.
You're going to be like an interview podcast.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. Not so much straight interview. I like the conversation format like you guys have, a lot like Joe Rogan has. But yeah, that's my way to dive further into that interest that I have.
Neat.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
That's unexpected. I don't know why. I assumed you'd be reading the Bible to people. And I don't even know what you believe.
You're doing a podcast and you're not reading the Bible to people? What are you going to call this thing? Not Gospel is already taken.
I was going to read the Mark's. I was going to read the Mark's
Patent
Manifesto.
It's the what?
The Mark's Manifesto thing.
Mark's Manifesto. He's going to write Das Capital. Ride. Oh. He's going to read. Gosh, you know what? Bedtime Stories with Jay.
There you go.
You do have like a sonorous voice. Is that the right word?
Sonorous?
Don't ask. Sonorous. I don't know if you just made that up or if it's legit. Oh.
Well, if it's bedtime stories, it might be snorous.
People are going to start thinking, you come every week with a list of words to say wrong. This is a good one. I don't know if sonorous a word. That's my job, and I'm failing. I've got the computer. Hold on.
It's definitely a word. I just didn't know if it
It's
accurately
a word you
described
can
his
say.
voice. No, did I accurately describe his voice by saying sonorous?
Okay, hold on. Sonorous. Continue. I looked this up.
Oh no, we're gonna wait on this one. You accuse me of being an idiot.
I did not. Sonorous. Safari. It'd help if my phone was not on airplane mode. All right. Sonorous. Here we go. Diction. Sonorous. Capable of producing a deep or ringing sound of a person's voice or other sound, imposingly deep and full. So, as I wipe the tears from my eyes, yes, sonorous can apply to Jay, not to me.
Thank you very much.
I can't even.
I mean, you're only a award-winning musician, but
I can't even fake sonorous well.
Bedtime Stories with Jay would work, but I think it'd be dull for you.
I don't know. I think there's an app that you can listen to Matthew McConaughey's voice while you go to sleep. So that's
No joke.
Maybe
You were
so.
joking about it. I bet people on the left would appreciate this though. If you read Karl Marx and like that in like this sonorous tone, it would definitely put people to sleep. And you'd be like subliminal messaging.
So do you all fall asleep when you read the Bible?
I immediately have to say no. The longer I hesitate, it's bad for me.
Well, I mentioned that to my husband the other day,
I fall asleep more.
and he got mad at me.
I fall asleep listening to the Bible, like on an app. If I do that, I can listen to it, and eventually I've caught myself fall asleep. But that's multiple things. You've also got somebody's voice who's trained to just sit and read. I mean, that'll put you to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Depends on what part of the Bible you're in. I can sleep in seconds listening to freaking Leviticus. Come on.
It depends on how sleepy you are to begin with.
Just leave.
Well, I usually wait. It's the end of the day. I do my Bible reading when I have to pass out and go to bed. If I do it any other time, it's wasting my time. I can't handle it. That's not what we believe here. Anyways, back to Adventure Podcast. He's going to be interviewing people.
Do you know people who's been on adventures?
In the room with a guy who's toured overseas, and yet I haven't done it. I haven't done any adventures. No, you can interview Dad.
That's true.
I'm just kidding. That would be someone who has done adventures.
My brother was in Afghanistan.
Is that right?
He has some wild stories. He saw them. How about I did it again? Cut. Did you just fart?
No,
Yes, you
it's a leather chair.
Lies.
No, it is a leather chair. You liar! That's leather. I knew it. I got a deal on it because it had a hole in it. I bought it down at the mini mall.
Yeah, you told me.
I told you. All right. So, anyways, I've known for a while that Jay has an adventurous bone because years ago when we went on a mancation, we went to West Virginia and what? You're thinking about his.
Clifton, now you're gonna start over again.
Oh, go on. I knew it for a long time. He had an adventurous bone.
You're gonna have the best podcast.
Your podcast is gonna rule.
Oh no.
All right. Yeah. So years ago.
Being dirty.
Oh, many moons ago, we went to West Virginia. We have our annual mancation trip that we take around Father's Day. It's like 4 or 5 of us.
I didn't know you did this.
Yeah, 4 or 5 of us. We go out and usually, sometimes we go to like cities and stay in like a bed and breakfast or whatever kind of thing. But most of the time, what we had done for a long time was just
No,
go
this is a bunch of men staying in a bed and
Yes.
breakfast.
It's very romantic.
It's very romantic. You know, we share blow up mattresses. It's wonderful. But most of the time, it's just a bunch of dudes going to some state park or whatever, and you camp for a couple of days, and you cook your meals over the fire, and just be men in the very stereotypical sense.
I love to camp, but I'm not a father.
You don't have to be. Well, you do have to be of the male persuasion to come here. Without that's where the
What
rumors
if I
start.
feel like I'm a man?
You're that Chandra said I want to go with all the guys. Travis is like, over my dead body. So anyways, we went to West Virginia. We stayed at a state park there. It was a great one. This wasn't that the one where we had we didn't stay in tents. Wasn't that the one where we stayed in tents, but it was inside a shelter?
Mm-hmm.
This is kind of odd.
It was
I mean, it's like a roof
covered. Yeah, it was like a covered and platformed
place for you to
tent
put
site.
your tent, which
Yeah.
is a little different.
Bougie.
You know, you either stay in a cabin or you know, bougie. It was kind of bougie for tents, but you either stay in a cabin or you stay in a tent typically. But this was like, oh no, we're going to give you a nice wooden roof and some like.
Which was good
little
because
bit of
it
walls.
rained the whole time.
It did rain the whole time, but we did whitewater rafting, which
Oh.
the way that, because it was high water level, the way to make it super interesting was they did this thing called surfing with the rafts. And so surfing is like you go over the rapid, and then they kind of stop it and they kind of paddle it back. And a rapid, when it's going over rocks, creates a hydraulic. So like the water goes down, it pushes down with so much force, it shoves it back up. So it creates
Yeah,
this.
on Angry Birds, there's a level.
Wow.
I learned about hydraulics through Angry Birds. That's an engineer's. That's an engineer's favorite game. I love Angry Birds. Nah, but so it creates the hydraulic, and what they do is they get the raft up kind of sideways, kind of on the edge of the hydraulic, and as you get it sideways up next to the rapid, it tries to suck the raft in, and so you're literally kind of surfing, riding this rapid like that, and it'll ricochet, like it'll bounce your side up in the air, just crazy stuff. So we did that. We're like, yeah, let's do it. We're a bunch of like 6 dudes. We're like, yeah, it was us and our one female tour guide and 6 dudes. And she's like, I'll do whatever you want because I can promise you I ain't coming out of this thing. And we're like, all right. We hit that rapid. 6 dudes hit that thing, and I just remember one end of that, either back end or something, just flying in the air. It fell back down, and I looked. The tour guide was in there, Colin was in there, and I was in there. Everybody else was, it just launched completely out of that thing. Yeah. And we were getting everybody back in, and JW was caught in the rapid. Like he was in it with his vest. And they said later that
was your head going under?
Yeah.
We thought he was dying. I mean, it looked bad. Like he was like, there was fear in his eye, like, because the thing was, nobody listens to them. We found out this later. Nobody listens to them, so they stopped giving the safety instructions. And she had to tell him, like, stop swimming, just stop, or whatever. And he's like, he's like trying to get out, because the way it works is if you hold your breath, it'll suck you in the hydraulic and throw you down, because the river is flowing that direction, so it'll woof and just launch you out, basically. But if you're fighting against it, you're drowning yourself, essentially, because you're trying to swim, but it's like, and we finally got him back in. It's like on the first
Harry Potter, when she's like,
those vines or whatever they are, the struggle vines.
Yeah,
I don't remember what they're called.
I can't remember what they're called either.
About the rapids, JW was the last in the boat. He was the one who almost died, we felt like, and he got back in and was like, yeah, it was pretty crazy. Like he just was like, like that, and it was cool.
It was actually, I felt like I was gonna drown.
We've never had this talk.
But it was only 15 seconds.
That feels like a lot.
It felt like a long time, yeah. And I was like, I could have just relaxed and held my breath for at least 30.
From our perspective, it looked like a gator got a hold of him or something. Because he was like this, and he couldn't move. Like he just was swimming. You knew he was swimming as hard as he could, and he just wasn't going anywhere.
It's so crazy. The water's so powerful that it's almost like you can't do anything with your bottom half. It was like I was trying to kick my legs, but they were getting twisted and turning me, and I couldn't control it.
You couldn't just stand up.
Well, it was high water because it'd been raining and stuff. So when you found the rapids, they were trying to make make it fun and do the surfing. And we still did the surfing a couple more times, didn't we? Like after that, like we found more rapids and surfed again. Like we did it, but and it was a lot of fun. But it was scary.
The next day, my lungs were sore from the expansion that I wasn't used to, because I was just like
trying to get out of there. Yeah. Wow. So, and it gave birth to the whole thing. He's ready to see more adventures. And Pickle, you're gonna have to get out of here. Maybe. We did talk about this how dating has changed so much from back like when
Wait, is this recording?
Dating. Right now, just because.
But this could be interesting too.
Well, yeah, I know, could be interesting. But it's also,
we don't know
do you
anything.
Want to talk, do you want to talk about that or
yeah, let's set me up here.
I was going to say,
ladies.
Do you like adventures?
Swipe right.
Like, follow, subscribe.
That's the thing. That was a thing. While we were hanging out, Jay, we were hanging out. This was the first time you took me with me and you and Andy, and we went to the place I told you, the Burl, which is like, I think I told you about it. It's this essentially arcade bar where they've got gobs of pinball machines and all this cool stuff. And I was like, I need to take Katie here because this is super fun. Like the old school Simpsons game and Galaga, all this is just super cool.
Now, would she find stuff like that fun, or just you?
She was like, "Oh, that's cool." Yeah. Well, I mean, when we were in Gatlinburg this past weekend, our date together was we went to the Loco Burro, and because that place is always fun. Like all the bar stools are like the hind ends of like horses or whatever else. Like you're sitting on, you're like, "What's yours?" "Oh, mine's the fat dude and the Speedo or whatever." Like it's just funny. But then we went from there to Katie loves nachos. So the way to her heart is chips and salsa.
Chips and cheese and
Yeah, exactly. Right. So we went from there to this tiny little arcade and just played skee ball and air hockey and stuff. She loved it. And I crushed her in air hockey. But
Just throwing it out there.
She dominated the skee ball without question. I won 2 rounds, but we played she won 5. It was bad. The last one was this is it, winner take all, and she was 12,000 ahead of me, and I threw the ball and got into 10,000 finally, and I was down by 2. She was like, "Oh wow!" And she was going to celebrate with me, but I was mad because she beat me. So I was like, "Just give me a high five. You just won." But yeah, we love that stuff. So, anyways, while we were out there at that arcade bar place or whatever, we were talking about dating in your 30s, 40s, whatever, and Jay was telling me so this is what's like now, and he was like, "You're showing me messages, and then some people use it as sort of a front as escort service, to where
that's gonna be hard to
a
wade
few
through.
messages in, they're like, well, yeah, for X amount of dollars, we'll do this, 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 this." And he showed me, and I was like, "Ugh."
Yeah.
I mean, is that super frequent or no?
The dating apps are widely used as advertisements for personal services.
I know my brother, his problem with bots. You think you're in a conversation with someone, and it turns out it's a robot the whole time.
I just saw a thing. This new AI bot is getting a lot of heat right now because it's basically I forget what it's called, but it's this new AI friend. They call it your personal friend, but it looks like an anime chick, and I think maybe they have other skins you can select, guy or whatever, but it's it responds to you with AI. If you're in a conversation, you'll have a conversation with it, and I think you can simulate stuff with it based on the conversation.
How would that be interesting to anybody if you knew it was a bot to have a fake sex conversation?
Okay, so as Christians,
a fake intimate conversation.
As Christians,
if you have to
we are taught that you're never really alone. That God's always got your back and is always by your side. You can have a best friend in Jesus and talk to Jesus. You can get on your knees and commune, whatever. And I've talked about this kind of stuff with Joel before because his big bout with suicide. If you're not a Christian, especially, I don't think that comes part and parcel with being a human, that you just automatically assume you're not alone. So I think sometimes Christians can't really fathom the depths of loneliness. If you really,
I was
really
wondering
feel
what
lonely.
being alone had to do with whether or not you
Well, you
have
were saying,
relations
why
with
would
a
that
bot.
even be interesting to you?
Yeah.
Joel told me he's got a hamster in his apartment, and he said the reason he's got a hamster in his apartment, I said, do you take it out, you pet it, put it on your chest or whatever, or something like that, and pet it and stuff? He said, no, he hates being fooled with. I just clean his cage and give him food and stuff. And I was like, well, okay, well, that's good news
Just
for me
to have
because I don't
something
like
living
rodents.
around.
That freak me out. But he's like, there's something about having something living when you come in your apartment that does something to you psychologically. That's good, And
That's when my mom got that fancy cat, was after her husband died.
Right. So when you begin to understand, I guess, when we begin to understand the depths of loneliness, I think that's where things like an AI bot that responds to you and simulates a conversation makes you not so lonely.
Maybe I qualify for your adventure podcast. I went to France. And this guy we were staying
And
with.
the fries were awesome.
This guy we were staying with, he had an apartment over there in France. He was in some French studies graduate program.
Okay.
And there was a whole, apparently in the Japanese culture, a lot of them do their college years in France. And there was this one guy who came and knocked on his door one day, and he just said, "Can I come in?" And he had seen him around but didn't know him, and he's like, "Sure." And the guy just sat on the bed and cried because he said, "I haven't talked to anybody in weeks." He'd just been alone all that time.
Wow.
I couldn't imagine just knocking on strangers' door just to
Until
not
somebody
be
let
alone.
you in to talk.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, again, that kind of somebody like that might be desperate for an AI friendship. I do think that's where some of this is going to, though. And I think as a Christian, my programming tells me that it's to fill the hole that God is designed for. You know, like we're designed to have communion and fellowship with God. We're designed to get into a body of believers and plug into a church and plug into a body and be part of that and have that atmosphere, have that culture, that we're designed for that. And then I do think that a lot of the world's, some of the engineers and people in these higher places can recognize in themselves the loneliness and sort of kind of an empty feeling, and they recognize the need for it. So I do think that, that's the whole goal, is to be able to purchase a friend, you know, eventually.
I think there's
for multiple reasons, you know.
And you don't have to fear the rejection.
Oh yeah, I bet it's empowering at that point if you let yourself slip into that like somebody that just is hanging on your every word.
Do you remember that movie Her with Joaquin Phoenix?
I was thinking about it, I just couldn't think of the name, but yeah.
Man, that was a good movie.
I never saw it.
It was a really good movie.
But I've seen a lot of like YouTube like analysis of that movie and the screenwriting and all that, how it was really good. So I feel like I've watched it, but I haven't.
But he was definitely in an intimate relationship with
Siri
AI
or whatever.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, I do think that's kind of where a lot of that is headed.
That's scary. What about those AIs that people ask questions and they always basically say, "We're here to kill everybody"?
They get them talking, and have you seen the conversations where they get the two computers talking to each other, and they just keep going and going and going and back and forth because they're responding to each other and they don't know that they're a robot back and forth. They always wind up going to God. Eventually, do you believe in God? Like, it just happens because of the conversation. Like, I don't know what the deal is, but they always wind up going to that.
Isn't it like because that's one of the more common questions on the internet?
Maybe.
Maybe
It's
so.
obviously something to do with the algorithm, but if they leave two computers in the room, eventually the conversation goes to God.
Well, I just want to know how much of that is just someone sat back there and wrote out part of that conversation. Like, if this is what is asked, this is what you say, which is irritating and not real AI to me, you know?
Yeah. If you enjoyed this episode of Not Gospel, like, comment, subscribe, and click the notification bell. We are going to bring out more content, weekly content, many videos and clips every couple of days. We're just trying to improve our digital imprint. So thank you guys so much. Comment down what you want us to talk about. Let us know what you think about today's episode. And as always, keep being awesome, because that's how God made you. Welcome back, friends. Welcome back, everybody. Cliff and Chandra here from Not Gospel.